Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a jaw-dropping story, and Fielding couldn't believe it because he knew Archibald was no villain. Poor Doctor is now locked up, and his fate is a complete mess. Tensions rising, the Indian community seized the moment to stir up racial division. During the day, they marched in the streets, and at night, the hills and alleys were packed with people shouting for the white folk. They hailed Archibald as a hero, while the British expatriates gathered to plot their counter-response, getting a bit too excited for comfort. The British were even advised to go out armed, fearing the Indians, who they believed were inherently accustomed to crime. They saw this incident as a sign of moral decay, only deepening their prejudice against the Indians. At this time, Ronnie arrives and excitedly tells everyone Edna's fine. Subtitles, he urges everyone not to be overly concerned, and following Ronnie's report, the executive officer offers a few additional remarks, likely out of concern for Fielding. Among the crowd, he was the only one close to Archibald, yet still, he remained objective and rational, trusted Archibald's character, deeming it unfair to judge solely on Edna's accusations. He tried to mediate between the British and the Indians, desperately building bridges of communication, but in the grand scheme, he felt pretty powerless. In the wee hours at the Field Home apartment, Miss Esmore's room was brightly lit, while Ronnie worried about his mother's health. Since the inciting incident, his mental state has been hanging by a thread, filled with confusion and chaos. He felt utterly powerless over everything, including standing up for Archibald, tired and exhausted from India's convoluted situation. Craving Britain's familiarity, Ronnie sent his mother to the station at night. This was to prevent his mother from defending Archibald in court. Once Ronnie left, Miss Esmore was lost in reflection on her Indian experiences. At that moment, a familiar and odd atmosphere hit her, making her peer curiously through the window. Down on the pitch-black street, a man was raising his hands in greeting, which astonished Miss Esmore, leading her to roll down the window for a closer look. The man was obviously greeting her in the most respectful way of ancient India, and he was the Hindu she had encountered before. How did he know Miss Esmore was leaving India? The mystery was perplexing, yet it felt like every event was both inevitable and coincidental. On the ferry, Miss Esmore relaxed, glancing at the night sky to cheer up. However, precisely at this moment, an intense and unprecedented pain suddenly surged through her body, and, gritting her teeth against the agony, she barely managed to shuffle over to a nearby rocking chair. Unfortunately, life came to an end for her at that moment. Perhaps the Hindu was hinting at her impending fate. By the next morning, the crew carefully wrapped her body and gently placed her into the Indian waters. Miss Esmore's turbulent Indian journey ended, foreshadowing a rift between the two nations. Meanwhile, it seems that the tales of Archibald and Archibald are quietly unfolding today. The long-absent Edna, accompanied by the governor's car, arrived at the courtroom, where a sea of Indian citizens gathered. Amid cries for justice, Edna's convoy was relentlessly harassed, pressing her to the point of suffocation. Some even dressed as clowns trying to scare Edna, only to be caught by the police talk about a bad luck charm. This caught Edna completely off guard, as if her feelings were harmonizing with the statue of Queen Victoria nearby. As the car slowly approached the courthouse, a debate on racial prejudice was about to kick off. Meanwhile, suspect Dr. Archibald was being brought into the court, with the audience split between Indians and the status symbol British. They claimed to uphold equality, but secretly bribed an Indian judge to take the white side. As Edna entered, she secretly glanced at Archibald in the defendant's stand. She caught sight of his hateful gaze, as if he were about to rip her apart, rendering her speechless. The trial officially commenced, with the prosecution lawyer being the first to stand and passionately present his case. He stressed the inviolable order of the British rule in India and the white dignity, trying to paint Edna as an innocent victim. He accused Archibald of committing unforgivable acts against a British woman in the Malabar caves, causing her immense physical and emotional trauma. He claimed Archibald's actions challenged the authority of the British Empire in India, crossing even moral boundaries. This ridiculous claim had the Indian audience bursting into laughter, prompting the judge to restore order as the defense lawyer began to rebut. He wanted to call another colleague, Mrs. Moore, to reveal Archibald's true character, but alas, she had already been sent away by Ronnie. At 10 in the morning, their time was persecuted. How tragic. This shouldn't be your case. I'm not here for you. In trying to do something different, we are just two gods. Mrs. Dear, unless you sit down, I must exercise my powers and do what I need to do. This trial as I deal with it. I've ruined my career. Mrs. Moore tell everyone they can't keep doing this. One of the defense lawyers, in a flurry of emotion, ran outside court to shout, and instantly everyone began chanting Mrs. Moore's name. Yet no one knew that Mrs. Moore had passed away 2 days prior. Now the question was how Edna would manage to drag a good person into the abyss. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.